Welcome back. So in our Selenium series today we are going to discuss about how to design a framework. So today I'm going to show how we can design a framework from scratch. So what are the demerits of the basic sample Selenium script which we were learning from past couple of sessions, right? So I will be showing you the classic approach, and then we will go over from the basic to advanced level of framework designing. So in this particular session, we will be going to see how we can create a base test so that the driver can be initialized. And after that, we will see how we can share the same driver object into different other classes in your framework. Okay, so that is what we are going to see. So these two are the basic things that when you go into an interview as well, so they will be asking you what is your framework structure, folder structure. So you might be saying that we have a base class where we are determining what browser it is to run, and then we are distributing the driver object. So let me just go to IntelliJ. I will be creating a new project, and so for this, when you install the IntelliJ and click on and open that IntelliJ, you will be seeing something like this welcome screen. In this, you go and create on the new project. So as you create a new project, it will be asking you the Java version. At this moment I have Java 11, so that's why it is showing. Without selecting anything, let's click on next. And after this, it will be asking you in which folder you want to save your project. So for this, let me click on this browse. And after this, let me go back to this one. And here, let's just create one folder structure. So for this, let me just create here new folder. At this moment, let's just give, probably I will give the date, or let's say that September 21. So that it won't override with anything, and I will click on open. As you can see, in that project folder it has been created. Now you can change the name, whatever it is there. At this moment I'm keeping as it is. For this org.example, you can just give anything. At this moment I'm giving this one QAB box, and then let's keep it as org and finish. Now you can see the empty project is created. Now because it is a Maven project, what I'm going to do, I will be adding couple of pom.xml dependencies as plugins, right? Now what are the different dependencies you need, and the plugins as well. So for a starter level, I would say that you need Selenium. Okay, Selenium Java library, and after that you need your Testng, because we are going to see a Testng project, and then you need the Maven Surefire plugin. So these three particular dependencies we have seen in detail in our previous sessions. If you are not sure, then go back to my playlist and you can look for that. So now where should we get the pom.xml? There are a couple of ways. You can go to the Maven repository, mvnrepository.com, and you can search any of the dependencies, Java dependencies. You will be getting the dependencies from there. At this moment, I will be showing you a quicker approach. So I have created a blog, and in that I have specified all the pom.xml that is required for a QA analyst, the basic things. For an instance, let's say that you are working with Selenium. So then you can just copy paste this particular pom.xml dependencies. I have captured the Selenium Java, Testng, and then after that extent report, the latest version. I'm keep trying myself to update to the latest libraries. If you are not sure, you can just search this particular artifact ID into the Maven repository, and you will get the latest one. Okay, and then there are a couple of logback and then POE for for Excel sheet reading, and then Maven compiler project plugin. So this is for compiling only, compiling with respect to a specific JDK. Okay, and after that Maven Surefire plugin, we have seen a lot of different ways that we can use the Surefire plugin to get the data to execute the test cases on the command line. If you are using Appium, then you can just specify this dependency. There is a thing that you need to note it down. When you are using Appium with Java client, do not use the Selenium, because Appium itself is having the Selenium library inside. So you can just replace this particular dependency with Appium. Okay, so that's one of the note. Now at this moment what I'm going to do, so always what I'm doing, I'm not taking from here, I'm not copy pasting everything when I create a new project. What I do, I always take it from here, okay, from this dependency folder. So I will be just copy pasting dependencies element and Control C, and here you can see I'll just select this one and I copy paste here. Now there are a couple of things you need. The only thing is that for this properties, you just copy paste these two things. In our while we will be talking a lot in our a lot more detail into the Maven and pom.xml, I will be letting you know what exactly I'm doing here. But yeah, at this moment you can just copy paste for a starter level and you can get started with them. Now okay, pom.xml is saved, right? Sometimes as you save, it will download all the repositories or the Maven dependencies or the jar files. Sometimes it won't automatically download the jar files. So what you need to do, you can go to the right hand side. Here you can see Maven and then go back to this life cycle, and here you click on this install. Okay, so that any new libraries or dependencies or the plugins that you are adding into your pom.xml, it will be installed there. So let's wait for some time so that it will download all the dependencies. Couple of the dependencies I have added as in newly or the latest versions which I didn't download before, so it will take some time. So let's wait for that. Okay, so my dependencies are downloaded, so it's throwing one error. The reason is that I have kept here Testng Xml into this Surefire plugin, so as you can see here, but the Testng Xml is not present. So at this moment, let me comment this one so that the error will be gone, and after that we will be seeing once we will create the Testng Xml, we will uncomment this particular section. Okay, so everything is good. So what I'm going to do, after you have installed everything, you have to go to the right click on this project, then click on this Maven option, and here what you can do, reload this project. Now what this does, sometimes even though the jar files are loaded, it is not binding to your current project, so you can just do a reload. So you can see it is indexing that. After that you will be getting all the available methods and features of these dependencies which we are using. Okay, so hopefully everything is downloaded. If you're not sure, you can go to this external library and you can identify the packages that you are going to or you downloaded from by using your pom.xml. So everything is good. Now let me write a simple script which we know already. So I will be right clicking, creating a Java class, and here what I'm going to do, I'll give a name as sample Selenium. Okay, and I have already created one simple script actually here. So without wasting time, let me copy paste that one. So I'll go back here and I will be pasting, and there are a couple of imports are required. So let me just do quickly. Okay, so as you can see, this is all set. Now let me tell you what is the problem with this approach. This is absolutely working fine. I mean, it is doable actually with this, or it is workable, right? Now what is the problem with this? The problem is that we have created one test method, right, in this particular project. Now this is not a real-time scenario because you might need more than one test case, right, in your project. Let's say that you have 50 different test cases that you're writing. Now as you can see, the approach here, what I have done, that the driver initialization and sharing, everything is happening very local to this particular test method. Now if I want to add another test method into a different class file, then what I'm going to do, I have to copy paste everything, right, which is not a good approach, because when you are building a framework, it has to be like write once and utilize as many as time. So you need to have that approach always. Okay, as much as possible you need to implement in that way. So what I'm going to do, as I was telling, that I will be doing two things as a starting level for a framework designing. So the first thing what I'm going to do, this particular browser, whatever I'm doing, right, I will be taking to a separate class so that it can be shared across different test methods. Okay, so for this I will be using the source main. So far we haven't used this main, right? So let me utilize that. So here I will be creating a Java, probably I will create a package here, and this package I will be taking it as base, and under this I will be creating a Java class, name it as BaseTest. Okay, so under this I will be writing the logic actually here. So here what I'm going to do, I will be taking all the browser logic inside this. Now, so where exactly I will be taking this one? I mean, if I have multiple test cases, see when exactly this is executing, this is executing just before my test case, right? So this is my actual test case, simple login I'm taking here. So before executing my test case, I need to set up this one, right? Like which browser it has to run, and then what is the driver object, and so that I'm initializing this driver object so that I can take it. It means that before executing your test case, right? So in this base test, I need to do something actually. Now, what are the different options I have if I want to run a particular chunk of code before executing my method? So can I use the Testng feature or Testng annotation that is before class? So before class, why I'm taking before class, there might be instances where in one class you might have multiple test cases, right? Let's say that you want to launch the browser once, but you want to execute multiple test cases. Okay, there are two benefits of doing before class. If you want to have multiple test cases running on the same browser or same driver instance, you can achieve that here. Another way, let's say that no, my organization is demanding that every test case before to that you want to execute or you want to launch the driver, no need to worry. What you can do, which is my way of doing that, each test class or each Java file should be having one test case only, like one test annotation only, so that the before class will be also applicable. Before method if you are doing, then it is a problem if you are using multiple test cases. So that's why one class, one Java file, one test case. That's what we will be taking it granted for throughout our framework designing. So in the before class, I will be mentioning like this public void, and I will say setup. Now inside this, I will be writing the logic, right? What is that logic? So I will be copy pasting everything, this thing. And then after doing this one, what I'm going to do, so see at this moment I'm taking Chrome as a default one. At this moment I'm not taking it from the command line. If you want to take it from command line, you can just try the same way only. We have seen even another approach where I can have a specific config.java file. I can specify this one as well. Just to make it simplified, this is I'm taking a browser variable. I'm taking this as Chrome at this moment. So this is very similar to string browser equal to Chrome. Okay, why I'm making this system.get property? In case you want to change this Chrome to something Firefox or Safari or something, what you can do, you can send it from the command line. That is why I'm taking this statement. Okay, so after this, what I'm going to do, the next target is that I need to share this driver. See again, this driver object is very much local to this one, right? So same problem. So if I want to execute this set, okay, think about I have a Java and then new Java, and here I'm making it as test login. Let's say that I want to do a test login here. So what I'm going to do, I will be copy pasting everything to this one, but instead all these things I don't want here, right? Because I don't want any driver initialization in this, and no this one as well, because we will take care of there. No driver quit, nothing here. Now the question comes, from where I should be getting this driver object in this test case? I don't want to create it from here. Okay, so the thing what I have to do, I have to create another what you call Java class, which will be doing the page which will be sharing my this particular driver object. So for this, what I'm going to do, I will create a getter and setter. So what I will do here, page driver, I will take it as name. You can name it anything, driver factory or any name you can give. So here what I'm going to do, I will create a getters and setters. So this is very much Java specific. So let me just write it. So public static, and the return type has to be WebDriver, right? Now here I will say getter, okay, get driver. Now when I call this method, this has to return me the driver object. So I will say return. Now what is that I'm going to return it? So I will be returning, so I will create a private static and then final, so that I won't be changing this one. and I will say that WebDriver, okay, equal to null or something I'm making. But instead of that, what I'm going to do, I will be creating a thread local, because see, Java is not a thread safe. Okay, if you are just creating a an object, it is not thread safe. So the problem it might arise when you do parallel testing. Okay, so that time always make sure that you do a thread local here, thread local, and it need a type. Okay, what is that type? That type has to be WebDriver. Okay, WebDriver type, and WebDriver equal to, just create a new object, thread local. That's it. You just need to do this one. So instead of creating directly a WebDriver object, you need to do this one. Now what I can do, I can return this one, but it won't work in this way. You can see it is throwing one error. What it is telling, you have to create a, see, required is WebDriver, but we are providing this one. So for this, what I'm going to do, I'll make it as a get. So this is the way we can get a driver, an object actually. Now if you see, this is just a null, right? If I use get driver, then it is becoming null, because I have to assign something to this variable. And what is that I am going to assign? This driver object I want to assign to this driver. Okay, how do I do that? From one class, how can I take a variable or the value and assign it to here? Simple thing, I will be creating one, what you call, setter actually, that one. So setter, and let's make it, see, for setting it up, I don't need to return anything, right? So I'm making it as null, void actually. So here, what is that I'm going to assign? This has to be a driver actually. So here I will say how I used the get method, right? The same thing, there is a set method as well. What is this? You have to do this one. Now in this case, this set method, you can see I'm not using anywhere, right? So somewhere I need to set it, so that by using this get driver, I can share it across different files in my project. So what I'm going to do, after everything is done in this before class, what I'm going to do here, I will say page driver. Okay, I will be calling that particular setter method actually. So page driver dot set driver, and here I will be sending this one. As simple as that. Okay, now in this case, what it is, everything is ready. So my BaseTest will now launch different browsers based on my entry, whether it is a hard coded or you are getting it from your properties file, or you are getting it from your command line. Whatever way, you can just play with this line. Your job is to get the browser name, what browser it has to run actually. Now depending on this variable, you can write the logic. Now see, this is only written once. Now I can use this driver object as many as times I want. Now tomorrow, let's say that somebody wants to run it in Edge driver, Edge browser, no need to worry. You can just have a if condition or switch case, you can write it depending on this browser variable. You keep adding the functionality into this, but this logic will not be changing, the getters and setters. Okay, so my set driver is done. Now the thing is that into this test login, I cannot get directly this driver object, right? So instead of this, what I'm going to do here, so I will say WebDriver driver equal to, I will say, oops, let's get this one, import class. Now here what I'm going to do, I will be doing page driver. See there in the BaseTest, I have used set driver. This has to be only once. Throughout your before class, you are doing just once only. Now get driver, I will be using here. As simple as that. Get driver, that's it. And this one also I will be trying to avoid it, so don't worry about that. So at this moment, let me just WebDriver wait and space wait, that's it. Okay, and I don't want again the dependency every time I will have to create an object and do that. I will be creating a utility method so that I can use it across my test cases. At this moment, we are focusing into the driver object. Now you see the driver, everything is set. Now let's say that you are creating another test class actually. So now let's say that you are creating a new test login or another test case actually. So what I'm going to do, copy, go to this Java and then paste it. Now in this case, let's say that you want to do invalid login. Okay, Now in this case, what you're going to do, everything is set for you. Now you see, I'm not going to change the driver object. I'm not going to change or write again the same logic of which browser I want to run it. See, this is the thing. How many test cases are there? The browser is fixed. All the test cases has to run in Chrome browser only. So that's why your browser is fixed, your driver is fixed, everything is done. Now in case of, let's say that you want to have a invalid login. So what you can do, you can just use some invalid password and you are done with that. Okay, at least these two logics, whatever we have written, I don't want to repeat in all of these test cases. Okay, so that is one good thing about that. Now as I told, still there are some limits, like this is repeating in all of these test cases. The another thing is that I'm utilizing the same thing only. See, the username, password, login button, everything remains same, right? But still I'm writing multiple times. As many as test cases I'm writing, every time I'm writing the same logic, driver.findElement. This is also not a good approach. So I have to write it once. So username I will be declaring once, and I can use the same instance every time I want. So that is again another way of another good approach of framework designing. But like I said, we are only worrying about the browser instance and the driver initialization. So let's focus into this only. Now at this moment, what I'm going to do, I will be creating a Testng Xml so that I can show you multiple test cases, how it is working fine. So at this moment, let's do one thing. Let me get one Testng Xml sample so that I don't need to write from scratch. So I'll say testng.xml. So let me go back to this search and then type Testng Xml so that I can get a sample Testng Xml file. So you can just go to this one. So this is a good candidate. I can copy this one and then paste it here. And then I just want to have one test file and no class, no methods. Let me just do a simple one here. So I will be saying test login. So you can see there is no package declared. This is again not a good approach. So let me create a package and I will say that test cases. Okay, under this I will be copy pasting these two test cases and then this one as well. Okay, so now it will become easy for me. Let me go to this one and I will say test cases dot, and then this is my first one, and the same thing let me copy paste for the second test case as well. So here I will say underscore invalid. That's it. Now let me run this one. You know, so the problem here is that you can see we have created this particular test, actually all these things, but we didn't integrate this one. So that's why the driver was not at all initializing. I mean, driver is initializing, but this particular method is not executing. And when this will execute, we have to link this one with our test cases, right? So what I'm going to do here, I will extend this one with the base test so that whatever the logic we have written, that will be coming here. So the same thing, let me do extends and then I will say base test. Okay, so that every time this particular test method will run or any test method, base test will be executing. That is the before class. So now let's go back to this, and one more thing that I'm going to do here. Let's do this one. So I will say after class. After class means after all of your test cases with respect to that particular class is executed, all the test methods, it will do a tear down. Okay, so what is this tear down? This is simple logic. So page driver dot get driver. So you get that driver and then you quit it, so that we are nullifying our driver object. Okay, this is one more thing. Now let's right click and run this. And you can see this is my second test case, and as expected this is the invalid login. That's why it didn't log in properly, and I'm not verifying actually anything. I'm just trying to click on this login method. That's it I'm doing here. Okay, fine. So as you can see, there are two test cases I have executed. I did the driver initialization and I have used the getters and setters here so that this particular driver object can be shared across different test classes. There are a couple of things, as I have discussed, this is not the right way to do it. We need to create utility methods because all these lines are repeating. Actually, you can see driver.get, I'm repeating here, this login functionality I'm repeating. See, in these two test cases, everything is similar. The only difference is this one only. I'm sending different password. Now for just this invalid login password, do I need to write entirely a separate test case and repeating all these things? Not really. The problem is that if I want to change something, let's say that tomorrow the application ID got changed to username 1, or maybe it is changed to user email. Now at that moment, whether it is 1 or 2 or 20 test cases, every test case I need to go and change this one, which is not a good approach, right? So all this all these locator strategies we need not to write into this test case. So my way of doing is that always try to hide the implementation, whether it is login, whether it is clicking on a button, or it is verifying certain things. Don't write the logic inside the test case. The test case has to only contain your steps only. What are the steps that you are performing? So each step you maintain the methods, and that method we will be keeping it inside the page classes. So that's why we will be using your page object model. And so in our upcoming sessions, I will be showing you how to write utility methods, how to write the page object model and everything. So stay tuned and do practice this one. If you have any queries, do send me a message, or you can comment into this particular session. Okay, so thank you guys, and do subscribe and stay tuned to this particular channel.